Respected elders, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be on all of you. Thank you for your protest here today in this very hot weather. Well, at least it is for me. Very hot weather. I suppose you're used to it. But it's not as hot as it was on board the Marmara in the Mediterranean Sea in international waters in the early hours of yesterday morning. I was on stage in Houston, Texas, at the microphone, speaking about the flotilla when the news began to break that this great crime of mass murder had taken place. And by the time I finished my speech, reports said that at least 19 humanitarian activists had lost their lives, that scores of people had been wounded by gunfire, and that hundreds of people had been taken, bound and gagged to so-called Israel and to a prison camp set up to receive them in the Negev desert. This international crime, because the victims were all international citizens from 40 countries, including the United States of America, and international because it took place in the Mediterranean Sea, in international waters, must be the subject of an international investigation.
Yes, yes.
Right, that's the least we can do.
The United States government yesterday in the Security Council blocked this demand and indicated that Israel should conduct the investigation. Well, a measure of how trustworthy an investigation mounted by Israel will be is the claim by Netanyahu that these heavily armed commandos dropped onto the ship armed with paintball guns. And if you believe that, you'll believe anything. 19 people could not be killed, scores of people could not be wounded by paintball guns. And anybody who knows anything about Israel's conduct knows that these commandos were following the orders of their criminal government to cause as many casualties as possible to deter others from taking to the high seas to break the siege on Gaza. I will be giving a major speech this evening at 6:30 where I will lay out the whole of this story and what we intend to do about it. But the one thing I want to say here is what I said to the television stations who interviewed me in the last few minutes. The only way that we can bring this situation under control is to end the siege of Gaza now. Because if there was no siege, there would be no need for flotillas of activists to risk and lose their lives to try and break it. I myself have led 3 land convoys to break the siege of Gaza in the last 12 months. The only reason this convoy had to take to the seas was because Egypt banned any future land convoys. The first thing that has to be acknowledged today is that finally, after this great crime, Egypt has opened the border with Gaza. We congratulate them for that, and we demand that that border remains open indefinitely. There is no case for an Arab, Muslim country to be doing Israel's dirty work in starving the people of Gaza. And why? Why are the people of Gaza besieged? because they voted in the only free and democratic election ever held in any Arab country, ever. And because they voted for a party that Britain and America and Israel doesn't like. Well, I myself am not a supporter of Hamas, but I am a supporter of democracy. And the only people entitled to choose the leadership of the Palestinian people are the Palestinian people themselves, and not their enemies, and not their usurpers, their besiegers, and their occupiers. So congratulations on your effort today. We must keep up the pressure. Things are beginning to move. This is a turning point. I lived through the great battle against apartheid in South Africa. 2 massacres, one at Sharpeville in the 1960s and one in Soweto in the 1980s, marked the beginning of the end of the apartheid system. The world woke up to the reality there and began to move. I really believe, that what happened yesterday morning, notwithstanding the blood which has been shed and the martyrs who now, God willing, are in heaven, is that the world will now begin to see Israel in a different light. The world will turn against the apartheid state of Israel, just as it did against the apartheid state of South Africa. So I believe that just as after Soweto, apartheid's days were numbered, so the days of the racist apartheid ideology of Zionism and so-called Israel are numbered too. Come along to the meeting tonight, hear the speech I've got to give, support the Muslim Legal Fund of America. I hope to see you all there, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum. Thank you very much indeed.